You know what's wild? Most people who try to save $5,000 give up before they hit 2. Not because they can't do it, not because they don't make enough. They quit because they've been lied to about how saving actually works. And the worst part? You already know you should be saving more. You think about it every time you check your balance, every time rent hits, every time you see that retirement account you haven't looked at in 8 months. But here you are, same cycle, same broke feeling at the end of every month, same promise to yourself that next month will be different. If this video makes you uncomfortable, it's because you've been confusing being able to afford it with being able to spend it, and that confusion has cost you years. My name's Rob, and I spend way too much time thinking about money and how it actually works. If you feel like you're doing everything right but still not getting ahead, subscribe and hit the like button. It genuinely helps. Here's the thing nobody wants to admit. You don't have a money problem. You have an awareness problem, and the gap between what you think you spend and what you actually spend is bankrupting you in slow motion. Let me prove it to you. Pull up your bank statement right now. Last month. Go ahead, I'll wait. You won't though, because you already know what you're going to find, and you don't want to see it. You're going to see the $47 you spent at Target when you went in for toothpaste, the $89 grocery run that happened 3 times in 1 week even though you already went shopping, the $12.99 charge for a subscription you forgot existed, the $23 DoorDash order because you were tired, the $156 night out that wasn't even that fun. None of it feels like a lot in the moment, but it adds up to thousands of dollars you can't account for, money that just vanished. And the worst part, you're not being robbed. There's no villain here. You're just leaking, constantly, invisibly. You make decent money. You're not irresponsible. You pay your bills. You're not living some crazy lifestyle. But somehow you never get ahead, and you've started to believe that's just how it is for people like you. But here's what actually happened. You've been operating under a lie that feels so normal, so universal that you never questioned it. The lie is this: I'll save what's left over. That's the default plan for most people. Pay the bills, live your life, save whatever's left at the end of the months. And what's left at the end of the months? Nothing. There's never anything left. Meanwhile, there's this whole other group of people who make the same money you do, live in the same city, have the same expenses, and they have savings, real savings, 5 figures, 6 figures, and you can't figure out what they're doing that you're not. Here's what they're doing. They're saving first, then spending what's left. You're doing it backwards. I know that sounds too simple, like I'm oversimplifying something complicated, but I promise you, this is the entire game. Rich people, and I don't mean billionaires, I mean people with actual financial security, they pay themselves first, before rent, before groceries, before anything. They take their cut off the top and then live on what remains. Poor people pay everyone else first: landlord, utilities, car payment, phone bill, restaurants, Amazon. Then they look around and go, "Guess I can't save this month." And the brutal truth is this: if you're waiting until the end of the month to save, you never will, because money expands to fill the space you give it. If you have $3,000 after bills, you'll spend $3,000. If you have $2,600 after bills, you'll spend $2,600 and not even notice the difference. Your spending adjusts to whatever you make available to it, which means the only way to save is to make money unavailable to yourself before you have a chance to spend it. This isn't about discipline. This isn't about willpower. This is about understanding one simple fact: you can't save what you can see. Let me show you how this actually works in real life. Say you bring home $3,800 a month after taxes. Most people see that hit their checking account and think, okay, this is what I have to work with. Then they work with it, all of it, and by the 27th, it's gone. But what if that money never hit your checking account in the first place? What if on payday, before you even wake up, $417 automatically moves to a completely separate account at a different bank, an account you never check, an account that doesn't have a debit card attached to it, an account that might as well not exist for the next 12 months? You'd have $3,383 left to spend, and you know what would happen? You'd spend $3,383, and you wouldn't feel deprived, you wouldn't feel like you were sacrificing because you never saw the other $417. That's the entire system. That's the formula.
$5,000 in 12 months is $417 a month. It's $96 a week. It's $13.70. $13.70. You spent more than that on lunch yesterday, and you probably can't even remember what you ordered. But I know what you're thinking right now. You're thinking, Rob, I can barely afford my life as it is. I don't have an extra $400 lying around. And that's where you're wrong. You do have it. You're just spending it on things you don't remember, don't need, and don't actually want. Let me show you where it's going.
The average person spends $5.75 on coffee 4 times a week. That's $23 weekly, $100 monthly. They eat lunch out 3 times a week at $13 a pop. That's $39 weekly, $169 monthly. They order dinner delivery twice a week because they're tired. That's $50 weekly, $217 monthly. We're already at $486 a month just on food. Food you don't remember. Food that didn't make your life better. Food that just happened. And that's before we talk about the subscriptions. Netflix, Hulu, Disney+, Spotify, Amazon Prime, that meditation app you used twice, the news subscription you forgot about, the gym membership you haven't used since February. Add it up. I dare you. Go through your bank statement and actually add up every recurring charge. You're going to find $80 to $150 in monthly subscriptions for services you barely use. That's another $960 to $1,800 a year just evaporating into the void. And none of this feels significant when it's happening. $15 here, $10 there. It's background noise. But background noise compounds into thousands of dollars you can't account for. Here's the exercise that's going to make you irrationally angry at yourself. Categorize every transaction from the last 3 months. Every single one. You're going to see patterns that make you want to throw your phone. You're going to realize you've been hemorrhaging cash on autopilot. You're going to find money disappearing into places you don't even recognize. And that feeling you're about to have, that mix of shame and anger and regret, that's awareness. And awareness is the only place change can start. Because here's what really happened. You didn't fail at saving. You never actually tried to save. You tried to have leftovers, and there are never leftovers. But let's talk about the other excuse, the one that feels more legitimate. I'll save when I make more money. I need you to hear this. That is a lie you're telling yourself to avoid changing your behavior right now. You know how I know? Because people making $45,000 a year save at almost the same rate as people making $85,000 a year. The difference in income is 40 grand. The difference in savings is negligible. You know why? Lifestyle inflation. You get a raise, you feel like you're finally making real money, so you upgrade your apartment. You get a nicer car. You start eating at better restaurants. You buy the name brand stuff instead of the store brand. You treat yourself because you finally deserve it. And within 6 months, you're broke again, just broke at a higher income level. Think about it. You made a lot less money 5 years ago, right? But did you feel more broke then than you do now? Probably not, because your expenses scaled perfectly with your income. You got more money and immediately found new ways to spend it. That's not a money problem, that's a behavior problem, and you can't out-earn a behavior problem. The wealthy understand something you don't. More money doesn't solve anything if you don't know how to keep it. They don't save because they have extra. They have extra because they save. And here's the part that's going to sting. You've been measuring financial success completely backwards. You think wealth is being able to buy what you want, but actual wealth is not needing to buy what you want. Every dollar you save is a tiny piece of freedom. Every dollar you spend on image is a tiny piece of slavery to a system that doesn't care about you. Let me explain what I mean. You see $2,300 in your checking account and you feel rich. You feel like you can afford to spend $60 on something you've been wanting, so you buy it. But here's the truth. That $2,300 wasn't yours. It was already employed. Rent is $1,400. Utilities are $180. Car insurance is $120. Groceries are $400. Phone is $75. Gas is $120. That's $2,295. You had $5, not $2,300, $5. But because you saw the big number, you spent money that already had a job, and now you're short, and you don't understand why. Rich people assign every dollar a job before it arrives. They know exactly where every dollar is going before it even hits their account. Poor people spend what's left after bills and wonder why there's never anything left. This is the difference. This is the entire game.
You're not budgeting, you're not tracking, you're just reacting to what you see in your account and hoping it works out, and it never does. So, here's the system, the actual mechanical system that works. Step 1. Open a second checking account at a completely different bank. Not the same bank, different bank. Make it annoying to access. That's the whole point. Step 2. Set up an automatic transfer for $417 on the same day your paycheck hits. Same day. Not the next day, not when you have time to look at it, the same day. Step 3. Never check the balance. Pretend it doesn't exist. For 12 months, that account is dead to you. Step 4. Live on what's left. That's your actual income. That's what you actually have to spend. That's it. 4 steps, 20 minutes of setup, then you never think about it again. And in 12 months, you'll have $5,000. Not because you had incredible discipline, not because you deprived yourself, but because you made one decision, one time, and then let automation do the work. You're not relying on future you to make the right choice every single day. You're making the choice once and then removing it from the equation entirely. But I know what's happening in your head right now. You're looking for the loophole, the reason this won't work for you specifically. What about emergencies? What if I need that money? What if something comes up? Here's the truth. Something always comes up. There's always a reason to not save. Always. If you wait for the perfect month with no unexpected expenses, you'll wait forever. And yeah, emergencies happen, but most of what you call emergencies aren't emergencies. They're just things you didn't plan for because you've never actually planned. Your car needs new tires? That's not an emergency. Cars need tires. You knew that was coming. Your friend's birthday dinner? Not an emergency. Birthdays happen every year. You ran out of money before payday? Definitely not an emergency. That's just poor planning. Real emergencies are rare, and if one happens, fine, you tap the account. But most months, nothing actually catastrophic happens. You just convince yourself that normal life expenses count as emergencies because it gives you permission to not save. Stop doing that.
Now let me show you something that's going to hurt. 2 people, same age, same city, same income. Let's say $58,000 a year. Person A leases a new car for $520 a month, lives in a luxury 1-bedroom for $2,100 a month, eats out 15 times a month, spending about $600, buys the nice stuff, looks successful. Person B drives a paid-off 2015 Honda Civic, lives in a decent but not fancy apartment for $1,400, meal preps, eats out maybe 4 times a month, spending $160, buys what works, not what impresses. Monthly difference in spending, $1,590. Annual difference, $19,080. Now here's where it gets brutal. After 5 years, Person A has a nicer Instagram. That's it. Person B has $95,000 invested, assuming an 8% return. After 10 years, Person A is still leasing cars, still living paycheck to paycheck, still looking successful. Person B has $275,000 and can quit their job if they want to. Neither person is wrong, but only one is free. Person A is performing wealth. Person B is building it. And the tragedy is that Person A thinks they're winning because they look like they have money. But looking like you have money and having money are not the same thing. Let me ask you something uncomfortable. How much of what you own exists to impress people who aren't thinking about you? The car that's slightly nicer than you need, the apartment in the right neighborhood, the clothes with the visible logos, the dinners you post but don't actually enjoy. How much of your money is disappearing into maintaining an image? Because here's the thing, every dollar you spend on image is a dollar you're not spending on freedom. And freedom, real freedom, the kind where you can walk away from a bad job or take 6 months off or help someone you love when they need it. Freedom doesn't look like anything. It's invisible. It lives in a bank account nobody sees. Meanwhile, you're out here spending thousands to look successful to people who are also pretending. This is what I mean when I say the formula for wealth isn't income minus expenses. It's income minus ego. Your ego is the most expensive thing you own, and the more you earn, the more your ego wants to spend. You get a raise and suddenly your car feels embarrassing. You get promoted and your apartment feels too small. You make more money but you never get ahead because your ego scales faster than your income. The fastest way to save more isn't to earn more, it's to care less about what people think of you.
Can you drive a 10-year-old car while your coworkers drive new ones? Can you live in a modest place while your friends upgrade the luxury apartments? Can you skip expensive dinners and trips that exist mainly so you have something to post? Your ability to answer yes to these questions determines your financial future more than your salary ever will. And I know this is uncomfortable. Nobody wants to admit they're spending money to impress people. We all want to believe we're above that. But then we make purchasing decisions specifically designed to signal status to people we don't even like. We finance lifestyles we can't afford to maintain and image that doesn't make us happy. We trade future freedom for present approval from people who aren't thinking about us anyway. And the irony, the absolute irony, is that actually wealthy people don't look wealthy. They drive normal cars. They live in reasonable houses. They don't feel the need to broadcast their net worth through consumption. Meanwhile, people drowning in debt dress like they're rich, desperate to maintain an illusion that's bankrupting them. Reducing your ego doesn't mean becoming cheap. It doesn't mean never spending money on things you enjoy. It means getting brutally honest about what you actually want versus what you think you're supposed to want. It means asking yourself, am I buying this for me or am I buying this for the story I'm telling about me? Because if it's for the story, you're not building wealth, you're performing it, and the performance is expensive. Now let me show you the math that should honestly terrify you. Let's say you waste, and I'm using that word on purpose, let's say you waste $90 a month on subscriptions you barely use. Just $90, 3 streaming services and a gym membership you forgot about. If you cancel those and invest that $90 a month at 8% return, in 1 year you have $1,121. In 5 years, $6,454. In 10 years, $16,388. In 20 years, $59,529. $90 a month becomes $50,000. You didn't get a raise, you didn't work harder, you didn't sacrifice anything meaningful, you just stopped paying for things you don't use. But here's the part that should actually keep you up at night. Every year you wait removes 1 year of compounding from the end. If you start today and invest $417 a month for 10 years, you'll have about $76,000. If you wait 3 years and then do the exact same thing, same amount, same discipline, you'll have $52,000. You lost $24,000 because you started later. And you can't go back and get those years. They're gone. The compounding that could have happened in 2022, 2023, 2024 is lost forever. You can start today, but you're starting from zero while time keeps moving. This is why I'll start next year is so devastating, because next year costs you more than the money. It costs you time, and time is the one thing you can't buy back. Let me show you one more thing. Let's talk about your daily routine. Coffee at Starbucks, $5.75. Lunch out, $13.50. Afternoon snack, $4.25. Dinner delivery 3 times a week averages to $10.70 a day. That's $34.20 a day. That's $1,026 a month. That's $12,312 a year. On food you don't remember eating.
Now imagine you made coffee at home, packed lunch a few times a week, skipped the afternoon vending machine run, cooked dinner most nights. Your daily food cost drops to about $8. You're not eating ramen, you're not starving, you're just being slightly more intentional. The difference? $26.20 a day, $786 a month, $9,432 a year. If you've been doing this for 4 years, you've spent $37,728 on forgettable food. If you'd invested even half of that difference, you'd have $21,000 right now. Instead, you have nothing to show for it. And I'm not saying this to shame you. I'm saying it because you need to understand what your daily choices actually cost. That $6 coffee isn't $6. If you invested it at 8%, it's $15 in 10 years. It's $41 in 20 years. Are you willing to pay $41 for a coffee? Every purchase is a choice between having something now and having significantly more later. And most of the time, once you see the real trade-off, the answer becomes obvious. You don't actually want the thing enough to pay what it truly costs. Now here's the psychological trap that destroys most people even after they understand all of this. Temptation. You know you should save. You know the math. You know the system. But then you see something you want and your brain short circuits. You feel that pull, that craving, that voice that says, just this once, and suddenly all your careful planning evaporates. This happens because of dopamine, and most people completely misunderstand how dopamine works. You think the pleasure comes after you get the thing. You buy it, dopamine floods your brain, you feel good. But that's not how it works. The dopamine hits before the purchase, during the wanting phase. Your brain gets excited thinking about having the thing, and that excitement is what drives you to buy it. Then you actually get it, and the dopamine stops. That's why you've bought things you really wanted, felt amazing for like an hour, and then completely forgot about them. The pleasure wasn't in owning it. The pleasure was in wanting it. And companies know this. They've built trillion-dollar industries around keeping you in that wanting phase. Flash sales, limited time offers, only 3 left in stock. Every tactic is designed to trigger your anticipation dopamine and get you to buy before your rational brain catches up. So how do you beat this? You don't fight it. You can't. Telling yourself you'll never impulse buy again is like telling yourself you'll never be hungry again. But here's what works. When you want to buy something, don't say no, say not yet. Add it to a list. Let yourself want it. Enjoy that dopamine hit. Just don't buy it yet. Wait 72 hours. 80% of the time, you'll look at that list 3 days later and wonder what you were thinking. The urgency was fake. The desire was temporary. 20% of the time, you'll still want it. And you know what? That's probably worth buying. This isn't deprivation. This is buying on purpose instead of on autopilot. You're not being controlled by manufactured urgency. You're making actual decisions. And over time, you'll get better at recognizing the difference between I want this and marketing made me want this. Look, here's the bottom line. You don't need to earn more money. You don't need some complicated investment strategy. You don't need to become a different person. You need to make one decision. The decision is this. You're going to pay yourself first. $417 a month. Automatic. Same day every month. Separate account. Never touched. In 12 months, you'll have $5,000. Not because you had incredible willpower, not because you sacrificed everything fun in your life, but because you made money unavailable to yourself before you had a chance to spend it. The system doesn't require discipline. It requires one decision, one time. And the person sitting next to you on the subway making the same money, they're making the opposite choice. They're spending first, hoping to save later. And in 5 years, you'll have options. They'll have excuses. Neither of you worked harder, you just decided differently. The gap between your current financial situation and where you want to be isn't some secret strategy you haven't discovered yet. It's the gap between knowing what to do and actually doing it. You now know the system, you understand the psychology, you've seen the math. You can set up that automatic transfer in 20 minutes. Or you can close this video, feel inspired for about an hour, and do nothing. In 12 months, you'll either have $5,000 or you'll have a reason why you don't. Both are choices. Time is passing either way. 5 years from now, you'll either be glad you started or wondering why you didn't.